Alright, so welcome to the 100th episode of the Real Fitness Show. I'm super excited to be here. I'm super excited to see you guys enjoying the podcast, sharing it, liking it, because it was not going to be possible without you guys. So I really appreciate you paying it forward. And as a little bit of a way to kind of give back a little bit, we're going to start doing these episodes on YouTube as well. We're going to be uploading some of the older episodes that we have in recording with the amazing individuals that have come through the show, many people that I respect a lot. But what I wanted to talk about today and what I wanted this 100th episode to be all about is what I believe is probably the most important thing when it comes to achieving a fitness transformation, when it comes to being consistent, when it comes to achieving any goals that you might be setting, right? And it comes down to two things, and I'm gonna default both of those. The first thing is going to be the teachability index, and the second thing is going to be simply don't be a craft. Okay, so you're gonna realize what I'm talking about in just a second. So first of all, the teachability index. This is, in my opinion, probably the top one character trait that is gonna make a person successful or not. And teachability index is nothing else than just how willing are you to change. Like if you get someone who teaches you something different, if you learn some new information, if you like something that you consider truth in your entire life, you discover is not truth, how willing are you to change? Because if your willingness to change is zero, even if I give you the cheat code to skyrocket your transformation, even if you learn the ins and outs, the insights of how to lose fat, how to build muscle, how to become successful, you're not going to be able to do it because you're not willing to change. So the number one thing that you need to master if you want to achieve results in any area is learning how to keep an open mind, how to consider true what you know is true, but always leaving space for, okay, if someone proves me wrong, then I might need to consider those other options, right? And the second part of the teachability index comes into that, right? When someone shows me wrong, and that comes from who are you listening to? Are you just looking at YouTube, finding influencers that have nice body, and just taking everything that they say as truth? Are you listening to your cousin who has great genetics and who keeps on eating burgers every day but still is super jacked, and you listen to him for advice? Or are you going to a PhD doctor who is always been on the books and has never really kind of like seen any practical proof of what he believes is true? At the end of the day, there's many places where you can go for advice. Thousands of places. Some of them are going to be good places, some of them are going to be bad places. And it comes down to your ability to differentiate who is teaching me something that worked for them, but you don't know if it's going to work for someone else. Who is teaching me something that they think is going to work because they see it on other people, they see it on literature, they kind of like heard about it. So a lot of people, like, you're going to see this a lot. There's going to be a lot of people teaching online, especially online, but even on universities and places like that they're just literally just repeating what they've heard without having put that into practice, right? They learned that something was done this way, never try it out, but they've been told that way, so they're teaching you that way. Or are you actually going to learn from people that can relate to you, from people that has been on the same situation as you or a similar situation as you, or that has helped people in similar situations as you? Because that's going to make all the difference, right? It's like, at the end of the day, if you're going to take advice, financial advice, who do you go with? Who do you go for? Would you rather go to your uncle who's just putting some money on stocks? Or would you rather pick Warren Buffett's brain? Obviously, you're going to go for the guy who has done it multiple times, over time. It has been proven to be right? So when it comes to fitness, when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to workouts, it's the same thing. You need to find who are your people? Who are the guys that you trust? Who are the guys that you've seen make these work? And trust them. And once you listen to them, then you're gonna have that willingness to change, to actually make adjustments into your programming, to actually make sure that you're doing the things that are gonna align with your goals. And that's another thing that's really important. There's many ways that you're gonna get progress. Now, there's many ways to get to one place, but there's only one straightforward. Right? If I'm trying to go from point A to point B, I can either design like a straight line, or I can take a lot of different turns. I will get to that point eventually, but I will always rather go with the straight line just because it's going to be faster. So when it comes to your transformation, when it comes to your fitness, when it comes to your fat loss, muscle building, body recomposition progress, you want to look for the straightest path. What's going to be the fastest way for me to get results? Because at the end of the day, if we do 1,000 push-ups every day, we're all going to get results. We're all going to get results because I thought you're just doing push-ups. But here's the thing, your results are going to look a lot different than mine because your body's not my body, because your experience is not my experience, because you don't have the same form, because your arms are a little bit longer, a little bit shorter than mine, because you maybe don't have the same mobility on your shoulder, because we're not even talking about nutrition. How much how much attention are you paying to the nutrition versus what I'm paying to the nutrition? Now, when you look at it that way, there's so many variables that, yeah, you're gonna make progress, but how do you know that you're actually making the right progress for you? Because at the end of the day, if you can make the same progress by doing 700 push-ups because the way you are, why would you do 1,000? If you're gonna make better progress doing squats instead of push-ups, and I'm just making a super silly mistake, super silly example, but you understand that, why would you do push-ups? You wanna do the thing that's gonna be more effective for you. So I like to tie fitness with financials a lot, just because I believe they have a lot of in common. First of all, they're gonna make your life better. Second of all, if you don't have it, you're a struggle. And third of all, the majority of the things can be relatable. So if you take a look at investing, for example, how do you make $1 million? You can invest $100 at 10%, and you will get to $1 million at some point. Or you can invest $100 at a 20% interest, and you're gonna get there in half the time. You can even do $100 into 20% and then another $100 in 10%. You're gonna get even faster. But that is super intuitive for us. Like, oh duh, like if I put money on a better return investment, I'm gonna get more money back. Like, Eric, what are you talking about? Well, it's the same thing with your fitness. You can definitely get results by doing generic workouts, but that's giving you 10% returns. What if you put your time and your effort into things that were gonna give you 20% returns, or 30 or 40 or 50? That's where you make the switch, and that's where you start making real gains. When you know how to listen to, you're willing to change, and you're going for the thing that's most effective for you. All right. So that's the first thing that I wanted to talk about in this podcast. And the second thing, it goes tied in, but I think it's super important. I wanted this 100th episode to focus on it as well. And it's going to be, please don't be a crab. Don't be a crab. I don't know if you know the story when one of my coaches told me this, because this is not a story in Spain. Maybe it is in the US. You probably know this already. But it's like a guy was just walking through the beach, right? And he gets next to a guy who's fishing, and he's kind of like collecting crabs and seafood and stuff like that. And he realized that he has a bucket full of crabs, and the bucket does not have a top of it. So it's like crabs can get out. And he's looking at the bucket, and he realizes there's one crab trying to climb outside of the bucket. Like just try to escape. And the guy who was facing, he was just looking at the sea, whatever. He was not really paying attention to it. And that guy who was walking comes on and say, "Hey, your crabs are about to escape. Shouldn't you put a top on it?" And he's like, "No. You see what happens. The guy doesn't even immune. You see what happens." And as the first guy who was walking takes a deeper look, he see the crab climbing up, and right when the crab was about to exit the pot, the other crabs grabbed him and brought him down. And the fisherman would explain to the guy, all the other crabs will not allow one of them to exit if they're not exiting together. Now, I do believe many of us have grown up in contexts like this. The people around us, our family or friends, people that we go for advice, they're crabs. They don't want you to do better than them. Every time you lose a couple pounds, every time you start working out, they're the ones that's gonna be like, "Oh, you should stop. Like, you're getting too skinny. Oh, you're getting too obsessive. Oh, it's nothing bad about being fat. You should just give yourself a treat for once." Now, I understand. In many cases, they will do it out of love, and that's okay. You love them back, and you say, "Hey, appreciate you, but this is what I'm doing right now." But in other cases, they're gonna do it because they're jealous. Because they're jealous that you are moving forward and they're not. Because they're jealous that you're taking the hardest path. Because let's be real, transforming your body is not easy. It's just not. Like, it takes effort, it takes time, it takes money, it takes sweat. But you're taking that route. And a lot of people will try to put you down because they don't want to be the one who didn't do the hard stuff. Because that happens. When you see someone who used to be in your level and now is like 3, 4, 5 steps ahead of you, that makes you feel bad. For some people, some people are able to feel happy for their friend, family, but many people will not. Like, they will just be jealous and they will try to bring you down. So obviously, there's some situations where you can just not cut out people, right? If it's your mom, if it's your brother, if it's your best friend of all time, you're not going to cut them down, but you can always limit the time that you spend with that person. You can set out boundaries. Be like, "Hey, I appreciate you, I love you, but I will like that we don't talk about this while we're together. Let's just think about the things that we're comfortable with and we'll feel good about. Because otherwise I'll have to cut you out because your energy is not serving me. Because you're trying to pull me down." And you might have to have some of these hard conversations with some people. But I truly believe once you get rid of that load, once you escape from that crab pot, once you don't have anyone else bringing you down, man, your transformation is going to look a lot different. Your life is going to look a lot different. Because it's not because of nothing that one of the biggest mantras in the fitness community, in the finance community, in the professional community is that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the more time with. Because it's true. If you're spending time with people who are trying to bring you down, who are people who are trying to maintain you at the level that you're at because they don't want to feel uncomfortable around you, you're not going to grow. If you are spending time with people who are ahead of you, people who want to lift you up, people who want to see you succeed, that's a whole different conversation. And now, you might be thinking, "But Eric, I'm from a small town, like what are people gonna think?" Or like in my family, my cycle, there's like, no one's gonna be like that. Listen, this might sound harsh, but if they're gonna hate, let them hate. Let them hate. Like we get, on my social media, like we get people hating on me all day. At the beginning, it was hard. Like I would delete the posts, I would delete the episodes. I would be like, am I really that bad? Am I like? But at the end of the day, I realized one thing, and this is one of my coaches told me this, and I'm gonna finish with this. No one who's ahead of you is gonna criticize you. They're just not. Like, if you are getting hated on, those are people who are below you. Those are people who are feeling uncomfortable that you're doing better than them. They feel they should be where you are, but they're not. So therefore, you must be cheating. And once you change your perspective from that to that sense, you realize, oh, if this person is hating on me, it's because I'm ahead of them. Then that changes the conversation a lot. Because I would advise you never take criticism from someone that you would not go to advice, that you won't go to for advice. Is because it doesn't make sense. Like, why would I give credit to my mom, who's overweight, who's pre-diabetic, who does not have any energy, who's always complaining about how bad her lower back and her knees feel? Why would I care about she telling me if I'm doing the right thing with my fitness or not? And again, that's not the it's not the case with my mom, but just putting it out there, right? Same thing with finances. Like, if you're trying to make an investment, you wouldn't listen to the guy who's super broke. If they tell, oh, that's a dumb investment, say, why do you know? You don't have anything to show for it. Now, it's a whole different thing if someone who's ahead of me is telling me otherwise, and that's a whole different thing. And that comes down to what we were talking at the beginning. Who are you listening to? But please, do not be a crab. Because if there's one thing that would hold you back in your transformation, this one thing that will not allow you to achieve your full potential, is to keep on letting other crabs prevent you from exiting the bucket. And I believe you're better than that. I believe when you realize that outside of the bucket, there's a whole world with people who are gonna lift you up, with people who are gonna make you better, with people who are gonna allow you to achieve your full potential, you're gonna regret not have done it before. And with that, I think that you have the two keys on how to achieve a big transformation, and not only a big transformation, but also something that you're going to be able to maintain for life. And I really think that this comes down to fitness, it comes down to finances, it comes down to relationships, to your profession, to your career, to everything. If you take these fundamentals and you apply them to your life is going to look a lot different. So we have a lot of different resources in the Real Fitness to help people explore their potential, like get more confidence, improve their energy levels, improve their metabolism, burn more fat, build more muscle. We have all those things. You can check those resources on the YouTube channel. You can check those resources on the previous episodes on the podcast. And like we always say, we don't charge anything from this content. Like, we have a program, obviously, but we're not charging anything for this. This is just our way to give back, to make sure that people don't make the same mistakes that I did when I started, that people can get faster results, and that they can just jump over all the frustration that comes with trying to figure out what's going to work for you. So that's why we do all this content. That's why we do all these videos, the podcasts, the blogs, and all that. So pay it forward. Like, it's completely free. We just ask you that if you enjoyed the episode, you go ahead and you share it. You share it with someone who might benefit from it. Someone who maybe is in a situation like this. If you're listening to YouTube, by all means, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to the podcast, subscribe to the podcast if you're not in already, to make sure that you get notified with every other episode that we release. And I'll talk to you guys in the next episode next week. Hopefully you liked it. Take care.